Hi, so I'm Ella Davey, the news reporter from the Boar, and this is Sharla Peters, who is running for Vice President Democracy and Development. Um, so I guess we'll get started with the questions. So the first question I have for you, what are your key manifesto pledges?
So the I guess the main ideas behind the pledges in my manifesto, my key points were about, I guess, reintegrating the different demographics of people into the SU, because I've heard from different people that ever since the pandemic, they felt that the student union isn't as diverse as it used to be. It's always the same people that are in the student union, always the same people interacting with the student union. There's been a lack of participation from the wider student demographics now. So the main point of where I was going with my manifesto is to reintegrate those people back in, let them feel encouraged, give them the platform back to speak up when they have things that they want to say, instead of blocking student voices. It was also about helping the different demographics feel comfortable on campus as a whole. So it was things like reducing prices for things that aren't needed to be overpriced, to allow students here, whether that's within routes, the prices in routes, renegotiating the produce there. It's also the bus prices again. The bus prices have just gone up again this year. We need to see if that is needed, if there's any alternative for students. A lot of people are struggling with transport. Also, accommodation fees. The accommodation fees keep rising. To find out why that is and find out how to make that more affordable for people who can't afford £140 plus a week just to come to higher education. Those are the main points that my manifesto is dealing with, is finding out what happened after the pandemic, and finding out why students aren't being allowed to speak up when they should be given the platform to speak up.
Great, thank you. So the second question, with declining turnout and engagement in recent SU elections and all student votes, how would you make SU democracy more accessible, inclusive, and engaging?
Yeah. So I would say the easiest way is just to talk to people. And I think it's easy enough to talk to people through the form of, say, a one-off questionnaire, or to have a one-off interview with somebody to get a general idea and say, oh, this one person said these are the issues, so those are the issues. But what you need to do is you have to actually be there in the student community, talking to people on a regular basis, seeing what they're struggling with, talking to them as you would talk to your own friends and family about these issues. I find that's one of the things that is lacking, is that, like I said already, within the student union, it's always the same faces over and over again. You know, people tend to know each other, people tend to be in the same circles, and because of that, they don't get to know the wider student community. And there's a big disconnect. When I started to run, I went around and I asked people from the different groups that I'm in, you know, what do you know about the SU? And everybody says they didn't know anything about the SU. They said maybe I'd go to the society's VP if I had an issue on the society's side, but other than that, they don't know anything. And it's completely different from where I did my undergrad, where everybody knew who was in the student guild, even if they didn't necessarily engage with it. But in Warwick, I see the disconnect, and it's quite upsetting because a lot of people repeatedly say the same problems, but they don't feel that they can go to the student union at all. They don't even know that it exists. So first and foremost is just to learn who you're dealing with. You can't speak for people that you don't know.
Yeah, thank you. Um, so the next question. As the sabbatical officer leading on sustainability, how would you look to achieve net zero on campus and when by?
So I think the goal is 2030. That is within the human rights organizations. I think the new goal is now 2030. So one of the things that I mentioned in the question time is that there needs to be an integration of digital alternatives where needed. So if you don't need paper, don't use it. Just get a QR code. If things, you don't need to produce things all the time to make a point. And there are a lot of alternatives that are better for the environment that need to be integrated. I think the sustainability efforts that have already been introduced are good. So what I want to do is I want to continue that. But also, as somebody who is studying a digital media background, I am learning more and more about new methods that are up and coming, that are innovative, that are being introduced into the international organizations as we speak. So, of course, I would love to integrate that within the student union as well, see the best way to get the rest of the union involved with these sorts of initiatives, and also ways to get the average person on campus excited about these initiatives as well. I think support innovative ideas, and I guess just the willpower to do it. That's what we need.
Great, thank you. Um, so, with rising living costs as a major concern for students, how would you seek to keep costs low in SU outlets and encourage the university to do the same in theirs?
Yeah. I would say first and foremost is just to see what's going on and see why, like you said, why the costs are rising. See if there's any alternative, if there's any way to keep them down, because it's not like the prices have risen minimally. They've risen quite a lot. And speaking to people who've gone here from undergraduate, say they came here in 2019 and they're still here now as a master's student, I asked them, what have you felt with the rising prices of accommodation within Warwick? And they will say to me, it's gone up, £20, and then £20 again the next year. And, these aren't small increases of prices. And it's students that need to be in these accommodations at the end of the day. So what I want to do is I want to find out why they've been increased the way that they have over the years, and make sure that that is kept to a minimal in future years, and see if there are any other ways we can, if it's energy costs, say, if there's any alternatives we can introduce to keep the energy costs down, anything.
Yeah, thanks. So, as DDO, you will sit with the SU president on the university council. How would you ensure that students' interests are communicated and represented on the higher level?
So it's again what I was saying about making sure that students actually have a voice, and that you're listening to all the students, not just the select few who are politically minded, who have that, I guess, knowledge of how to integrate these sorts of circles and speak to people and advocate for themselves. There are all types of students on the campus, some who don't have confidence, some who don't have the knowledge, some who even having the confidence and the knowledge to speak up politically are just being barred and are not given the platform to have a voice. So, first and foremost, is to listen to a diverse range of different students. Get as many viewpoints as you can, see what the common patterns are between the viewpoints, and see a way to find solutions that would help the most amount of people in the best ways possible.
Thanks. So, the last question: what makes you stand out from other candidates hoping to be democracy and development officer?
Well, I think what definitely makes me stand out the most is that I have a global mindset. I've lived in multiple countries. I've talked to people from across the globe. I have a wide range of social circles. I can speak to people across, all various sides of, whether it's political parties or different organizations. I can speak to different people from different backgrounds. I have, I guess, a wide scope of understanding of things that affects everybody. Even if you get two people in the room from completely different, they could seem like they'd be two completely different people. There is always a way to find a common ground and make sure that you can advocate for everybody. Because at the end of the day, my role will be about all students. And what my priority is making sure that all students feel represented and that everybody is safe on this campus. You know, that is first and foremost, I think, the most important part of the role. Anything else is secondary. Students are here for education. Education comes first. I've been to multiple different educational. So I graduated from the University of Birmingham. I went to the University of Thrace in Greece. I also studied at Keio University in Tokyo, Japan. So I have seen how student-led organizations on different campuses run things through different lenses, and I can see what has worked for different demographics at different time periods. And I hope that I guess that broad scope that I have, my way of understanding different people and getting along with all sorts of people, and also I guess my general passion for understanding people, finding a way to advocate for the person who is not feeling heard. I hope that that can all come together and will set me apart, I guess, from any other prospective DDO candidates.
That's great. Thank you. Um, that's all the questions. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Thank you. Thank you for the interview as well.
No problem.